Hello, fifth grade students. Today we are going to identify how properties of operations can help learners like you solve numerical expressions more easily. By the end of Units 1 and 2, I hope you will be able to master each of these skills on our unit scale. Take a minute to pause the video and review them. Let's begin by having you take a minute to preview our lesson scale. Pause the video. By the end of this lesson, the goal is that you will be able to determine which property is best for solving a given expression. Remember, your teacher always wants you to feel confident and independently successful if you can reach a level 3. If you can get to that 4, that's just the cherry on top. First, let's take a look at the 3 properties of addition. Take a minute to review the meaning of each property and the example provided for each one. Pause the video. Now let's do the same for the properties of multiplication. Pause the video. Did you notice any similarities between the addition and multiplication properties? If you were thinking that they are the same with the exception of the operation chosen, you are correct. For example, if you look at the commutative property of addition and the commutative property of multiplication, you will notice that the equations are set up exactly the same. The only difference is that the operation symbol has changed. Just like in the associative property of both addition and multiplication, once again, these equations are set up very similarly. The only difference is that the operation symbol has changed. Now let's move on to a property that is new for you coming into 5th grade. It is called the distributive property, and it is for both addition and multiplication. The property says multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by the number and then adding the products. I know what you're thinking. Why are we doing it? The reason being is so that we can solve these equations more easily and quickly. So when we are using the distributive property, it can be used to find products mentally or by writing the greatest factor as a sum or difference. For example, it is easier to evaluate the expression on the board by multiplying first 5 times 7 and then adding it to 5 times 9. Distributing the number 5 to the 7, and then you are adding that by distributing the 5 to the 9 as shown over here. Now I will show you how to use these properties when solving a word problem. Remember to use cubes for every word problem presented to you this year. If you don't remember what each letter stands for, check your math notebook for a review. First, let's start with the C. The first thing we need to do is we need to circle any important numbers or units of measurement. Next, let's do the U. Underline the question. What is the total number of bones in the ribs, the skull, and the spine? Next, we want to box any important keywords. So it says the table shows the number of bones in several parts of the human body. What is the total number, that's a clue word, or clue words, of bones in the ribs, skull, and spine? So when we see the words and we see the words total number, we know that we are going to be joining or adding. So it asks us for the ribs, the skull, and the spine. Ribs, skull, spine. Does it ask us for the ankle? No, it does not. That's called nonsense information. We're going to cross off that information for ankle because it is not needed in the problem. Next, we're going to do the E in cubes, which is to evaluate the problem. So now we want a total number, and we want the ribs, the skull, and the spine. We're going to go ahead and add up these three numbers right here. Now we will be using the commutative property of addition because the order does not matter. I can add the ribs first, the skull second, or the spine third, and Miss Addison could add the spine first, the ribs second, and the skull third, and we would still both get the same answer. So 20 plus 28 plus 26. Let's go ahead and add. First, we want to add our 6 plus 4 to make a 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. We're going to place our 8 in the ones and regroup our 110. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. Let's go back and read the question. What is the total number of bones in the ribs, the skull, and the spine? We would have 78 total bones. And remember, because we are doing a word problem, we want to make sure that you are always adding on what they are asking. So in this case, it is total bones. Now you have completed the S portion of cubes, which is to solve the problem. Let's go on to another example. In this example, Miss Walker bought 6 Lilly Pulitzer dresses. Each dress cost $89. To find the total cost in dollars, she used one of the properties of operations. How much did her fabulous new dress collection cost, and which property did she use to solve? Remember, you're going to want to first start thinking with cubes. So first, let's go ahead and circle the numbers or units in the word problem. So we have 6 dresses, each one costing $89. Next, let's underline the question or questions. How much did her fabulous new dress collection cost? We want to know the total. And which property did she use to solve? Okay, next we want to box important words so we know which operation we're going to be using. Okay, in the second sentence here, each is one of our clue words. Each dress is $89. Next, we want to know the total cost. And then lastly, how much. So when we have the words each and we have a total, we know that we're going to be using a multiplication property. In this instance, because we have $89, it's going to be best for us to use the distributive property of multiplication to break apart that 89 into more workable numbers. So if we have 89 times 6, this is going to become an 80, and this number here is going to be a 9. So we will have 80 times 6 plus 9 times 6. And then we can further evaluate from there. So then we will have 80 times 6. We can start by saying 8 times 6. 8 times 6 is 48. And then we're going to add our 0 to make 480. And over on this side, we're going to have 9 times 6. 9 times 6 equals 54. And now we want to add them together. I'm going to rewrite the problem so that it is easier for us to see vertically. So we're going to have 480 plus 54. 0 plus 4 is 4. 8 plus 5 is 13. Regroup my 100. 4 plus 1 is 5 for a total of $534. Don't forget to put your dollar sign since we are working in money. So that is the cost of Miss Walker's fabulous new dress collection. And remember, she used the distributive property of multiplication. Now it's your turn to try. Read the question, pause the video, and go ahead and record this question on your square sheet. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. Now we remember Gorman was really hungry when he went to that fair. He decided to buy 13 candy apples, 26 bags of cotton candy, and 14 corn dogs. What is the total number of food items he bought all together? Let's make sure we go back and review that we have all of our clue words. We have the word and, which means we're joining numbers. We have the total, and now we have all together. That tells us that we're going to be using the commutative property of addition. Once again, remember, order does not matter. So I have 13 plus 14 plus 26. 6 plus 4 makes a 10, plus 3 is 13. Regroup your 110. 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5. So he bought 53 food items all together. Let's go on to our last practice problem. Go ahead and take a minute, read the question, and pause the video and record your answer on your square sheet. Welcome back, students. You've had a chance to attempt this problem and to read it through. Now let's check our answer. So the first thing we do is circle that he had 21 baseballs and each one cost $7. Next, we need to underline the problem. What are they asking? How much did he pay in total for the baseballs? Which property did he use to solve? Well, we need to take a look at our clue words before we can determine which property was used. We have the word each, we have total cost, and we have how much in total did he pay. Since we have the word each, we have total, we know we're using multiplication. Since we have a larger number, we're going to be using the distributive property of multiplication. Think back to the Lily Pulitzer problem. So we have 21 baseballs, and they each cost $7. So we're going to break apart the 21 into 20 and into 1. We're going to distribute it, each one, to the 7. So we will have 20 times 7 plus 1 times 7. So then we will come over here and do 2 times 7, which is 14, and add our 0. Plus, we will have 1 times 7, which is 7. Add them together, and we have a total of $147 is the total cost of the baseballs. And remember, you want to explain total cost since it's a word problem. We always want to make sure that we know what we're talking about. Now it's time for you to review your scale again and decide after completing this lesson, where do you feel that you are? A 1, a 2, or 3, or a 4? Go ahead and take a minute, pause the video, review it, and write your scale number down on your paper. In closing, please click the link to engage in a matching activity that will allow you to practice working with these properties just a little bit more. Until next time, I will see you on the flip side.